And now, a TV1 special presentation.
Hi, I'm Tavis Smiley, and welcome to the 8th Annual State of the Black Union. Good afternoon. It's important to note that before the Pilgrims of Plymouth came the Africans of Jamestown. Africans who, along with Native Americans and other groups, helped to create this land of liberty that we sing and talk and brag so much about. Over a century ago, the preeminent historian W.E.B. Du Bois asked this daring and provocative question. Said Du Bois, or asked Du Bois, would America have been America without her Negro people? So today we gather for this historic event. We would not only seek to answer Du Bois by exploring the African-American imprint on America since the founding of Jamestown 400 years ago, but we will discuss and debate how that legacy affects the current state of Black America. When I stood with you in Houston last year for this annual State of the Black Union Conference to unveil this book, The Covenant with Black America, I knew it was a special moment. What I did not know was that this book, because of your love and your embrace and your hunger for a thoughtful conversation about how to make Black America better, that it climbed to the #1 spot on the New York Times bestseller list. #1, the first black book to do that. By, for, about, and published by black people to go to #1 on the nonfiction list. Dr. King once said, you don't have to see the whole staircase to take the first step. And so the creation of this Covenant with Black America text was really just the first step. This book lays out the what of our agenda. What are the covenants? What are the facts? What are the issues? What are the challenges? What are the obstacles and opportunities, for that matter? But what is the agenda? This book addresses the what question. We are pleased today to release the companion text called The Covenant in Action. As the title suggests, The Covenant in Action, if this is the what, this is the how. How do you take this book, The Covenant, and its agenda, and put it into action? We can make Black America better, and for that matter, all of America better. I'm going to ask the panelists why this matters. Why does it matter to have a conversation about this 400-year journey by black people in this place called America? Lerone Bennett.
I think it's necessary, first of all, to understand clearly what this event says and what it demands of us. We came here 388 years ago, and we were among the founders of the United States of America. We're not guests in Virginia. We're sons and daughters of the forgotten founding fathers. The second thing it says to me quickly is an extraordinary thing. 400 years ago, we have survived. 400 years ago. Do you understand what that means? That's a miracle. That's a miracle. It's a miracle. We survived the vilest punishment inflicted on us people in the Western Hemisphere. We came up from slavery, up from segregation, up from integration. And we provided the capital that made capitalism possible in this country.
The point to me is that throughout the 20th century, what we showed the world is that against great odds, we not only survived, but we taught America how to survive also. We taught America that indeed, you can enslave someone physically, but you don't enslave them always mentally. You don't enslave the spirit also too. We're new men and women walking on this planet today, telling the world, look at here, look at this black man, look at this black woman, look at this black child. We survived. We survived against great odds. We survived, and now we're going to live and show you how to live and be human.
Dr. Cornell West, so often when we talk about this grand experiment called America, it is through the eyes of the immigrant coming to America via Ellis Island. We know those words well. Remember, you're tired, you're poor, you're huddled masses. We know the American story through the eyes of the immigrant coming to Ellis Island. How important is it 400 years later to wrestle with that Du Boisian question of whether or not America would have been America without her Negro people who came not through Ellis Island, but through Jamestown.
You see, we know the Jamestown settlement was founded by the Virginia Company of London, which was a corporation to make profit. America was a corporation before it was a country. It's very important to keep in mind. And the reason why they were hungry for African bodies was because they needed labor in order to generate profit, often generated by corporate greed. This is crucial. And the connection between that corporate greed and then you look on those registers of 1621. There were white slaves, you know. White brothers and sisters were, in fact, enslaved. Even John Smith himself was enslaved in Europe. But when you look on the chart, they had all the names of the white slaves, indentured servants, but they had just Negro, 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 Negro. That is the problematic of black namelessness. So you would be called an aunt or an uncle later on, but the specificity of who you are is human. The individuality of what your mama and daddy named you is erased. That's one of the reasons why we got such colorful black names today. I'm going to keep track of your individuality even if the mainstream doesn't. But why is that important? Because we are here to talk about how do we come up with the courage to think for ourselves, the courage to love one another, and the courage to hope against a legacy of corporate greed and white supremacy and male supremacy. And I want to end it with this, my dear brother, because 1 year ago we had that wonderful dialogue with our dear brother, Minister Louis Farrakhan, and you know, whether in fact you fully disagree or agree, one thing you can acknowledge is that he's bold, he's fearless, he's unafraid, he's unintimidated, he's unbought, and he's unbossed. And we need some free black people today. I didn't say successful, I said free black people. You can be successful, that's beautiful, but you're still unfree if you're still bought and sold and afraid and scared to speak out when other folk are suffering. That's what brought us here. That's what Brother Larone's talking about. That's why this is not a game. Too many folks suffering. We got work to do.
Coming up next on the 8th Annual State of the Black Union.
Today, 80% of our black children are not able to read and do math at 4th grade level. There's a problem with black adults. It's a problem with us speaking to our school systems. It's a problem with us speaking to our political leaders about investing in education.
Brought to you by Allstate. It's time to make your world a better place to drive. That's Allstate stand. It's Friday night.
Promise of my people, with them stands the destiny of democracy in America. Those are the words of Paul Robeson. So I want to ask Marion Wright Edelman, the Children's Defense Fund, whether or not with these babies still stands the destiny of democracy in America.
Destiny of democracy in America rests with our children. And if we lose our children, we lose our future. We've got to reweave the fabric of family. Yes. We have got to reweave the fabric of community. All of these children are our children, not other people's children. Because if we don't reclaim our children and begin to have community ownership of our children, we will be letting down those foremothers and those forefathers. So this is a time for action, and the action has to be saving our children now.
the urgency that's needed to take advantage of the opportunities that are right now available to us. One around the state children's health insurance program that Marion talked about, a chance to really make progress in giving children in this country the minimum floor of health care necessary to sustain and advance their lives, and the reauthorization of No Child Left Behind, which is the one major educational thrust that is available to us to move. You may not like the bill, it doesn't do nearly what it should, but if we don't take advantage of that, if we don't organize and make these issues the two priorities that we pursue in this Congress, we will have missed a critical opportunity.
There should not be 9 million uninsured children in the richest nation on earth. We have a chance and a responsibility this year to change that fact, and that would change the lives of millions of children and families. And I tell you, I've been going up on the Hill, and they've been telling me this is wonderful, but how much does it cost? And I says it costs $14.8 billion to guarantee every child and pregnant mother in this country under 300% of poverty good health care. And you know what they tell me? What you know about pay-go? Where are we going to find the money? I said, well, we didn't pay when we went to Iraq and Afghanistan. We didn't pay-go for the tax cuts we gave to millionaires and billionaires. We didn't pay-go for the Pentagon budget, $600 billion a year. $15 billion, $14.8 billion a year to give all of our children health care is not even a comma to what they spend every day. And we just need to say, we're not going to let you get away with hiding behind pay-go or anything.
Congressman Bobby Scott.
We'll make a decision on the permanent repeal of the estate tax. That's about $80 billion a year. That is more than you would need for a very effective program to cover health care for all children. So we can deal with the financial problems of dead multimillionaires, or we can deal with the problems of Americans getting health care for their children. The people we elect will make that decision, and that's why I think it's so important, Tavis, that you have a call to action, not only so we can talk about what the problems are, but we can know what to do in terms of political involvement, holding forums, involvement in campaigns, specifically what you can do to make sure that the right people get into office, and once they're in office, they're held accountable for what they do.
When we talk about where the world is going, we talk about children being the future, right? And children, I have to disagree with that. Let me tell you the reason why I disagree with it. Because James Baldwin said, children seldom do what their parents tell them to do, but they never fail to imitate them. You see, we are the future. We're creating the future right now by the things we do and don't do for children, the things that we do with ourselves. Very clearly, when we talk about being role models for children, you know, we're always talking about someone who's a public image on television. It's not a public image. Role models are good or bad by the people that are around you. That's what happens with role models. So if your parents are acting crazy, if your teachers are acting crazy, that's what the children are going to do. If we start acting better, if we start changing ourselves, our behavior, how selfish we are, then children will change. That's how it happens. It's not just about putting programs together for them. It's about changing ourselves.
You're right, Dr. James. We don't have a children's problem. We have an adult problem. Today, 80% of our black children are not able to read and do math at 4th grade level. There's a problem with black adults. It's a problem with us speaking to our school systems. It's a problem with us speaking to our political leaders about investing in education rather than investing in prison. The only thing the United States will guarantee every child is a jail or a detention cell after they get into trouble. That is a set of misguided priorities that we as black adults and everybody has to stand up and say, we got to reset this country's moral compass and speak for our children.
The reason why we're so pleased to have the covenant, and this is the best part of our action plan, is to reclaim the minds of our children. They went into the black homes now, the powers that be, and told us that you cannot discipline your children anymore, and if you discipline your children, you were going to jail. It's this kind of thing they told us. Then they went into the public schools and took discipline out of there. So when we acted up in there, they put our boys, our black men, into something called special ed classes. And as you know, those special ed classes are nothing but holding cells until they can go to the state prison. one thing that they knew, that if we can put them in prison, if we can have them convicted for a felony, then once they get out of prison, they cannot get a job because of that. They cannot get the job. And then if they happen to eke out and find a job, then they have to pay taxes on a job, yet they cannot vote, and I call that taxation without representation. That's what we're looking at. And if one of the things that we would learn to do, they did a grand thing when they took that discipline away from us, because when they made our parents afraid to discipline the children, then what happened? We found out that the teachers were afraid of the principals were scared of the superintendents was scared of the school board was scared of the parents were scared of the children, and the children ain't scared of nobody.
Coming up next on the 8th Annual State of the Black Union.
Even if Barack Obama were elected president, if Hillary Clinton were elected president, that would not change the day-to-day reality of the brothers and sisters in Katrina-related New Orleans.
We're not going to make it.
Can you get us to the airport in 15 minutes?
Cheaper than a change fee if we miss our flight.
As with all airlines, it may cost more to rebook your flight, but on Southwest, we never charge an additional fee.
You are now free to move about the country.
Road and Track asks some of its readers to compare the performance, styling, and handling of the Honda Accord, Toyota Camry, and Ford Fusion. And once again, the winner was obvious, the Ford Fusion.
I like the handling. It was very tight, stuck to the road.
Traction control, navigation, all-wheel drive, 17-inch rim.
Old new style, I think, stands out.
Don't believe us? Ask them.
Off the line, great acceleration. If you enjoy driving, I would definitely recommend the Fusion.
Don't believe them? Take the Ford Challenge and see for yourself.
I, Tony Sinclair, in my relentless pursuit of cocktail perfection, journeyed to exotic India in search of the fabled Rangpur line. The quest was arduous, but the result, delicious.
Discover Tanqueray Rangpur, the new mixable gin that goes with everything.
What's next? Ice cubes that don't melt. Ready to Tanqueray, Rangpur style.
Always in moderation.
Have you tried Honey Bunches of Oats yet?
One spoonful is all it takes!
Good morning. Care to try some Honey Bunches of Oats?
Would you like to try some Honey Bunches of Oats?
I like these. It's a perfect combination of crispy flakes, crunchy oat clusters, and a touch of honey in every spoonful.
This is really good.
You would really like these.
I'm going to take this with me.
Okay.
All right?
All right.
Okay.
One spoonful is all it takes!
And now, the winner of Who's Got Jokes? It's George Wilborn, and George Wilborn.
It's true. I am the real daddy of Anna Nicole Smith, baby.
In I Don't Wanna Be No Star. Saturday, 10 p.m. Eastern, only on TV One. And don't miss the new season of Who's Got Jokes, September 8th.
We would not be where we are today without the NAACP. The question in my mind, though, Mr. Gordon, is what the paradigm, what the construct is. See, the paradigm has shifted. We're here 400 years now. So the paradigm has shifted. And one could argue then that because the paradigm has shifted, we have to build a new construct. I guess the question is what the construct is, what the model is for how we get the most out of Black America, organizationally, individually. What's that construct? What's that model?
You know, I'm a business guy, 35 years in the corporation. And I want to make this distinction between personality-led organizations and process-led organizations. Because personality-led organizations die with the personality. Process-led organizations survive beyond the personality. We have a tendency as a people to be captivated by compelling personalities. And it causes us to misunderstand the fact that it's not the personality that produces the outcome. It's the process and the organization that produces the outcome. Rosa Parks had the courage to stay in her seat. But please understand that the Montgomery bus boycott was organized, structured, disciplined, and for more than 1 year, people walked to and from work, not because of some haphazard planning, but because of well thought through, well organized, well planned, process oriented change.
It's not a thing of leadership. We always faked out and thinking, well, is this leader going to come? Is this leader going to parachute into Hampton and save us? History is not about leadership. Martin Luther King Jr. didn't start the Montgomery boycott. And if you investigate any major movement, you find that the people are the central determinants of history, and they work with individuals. So we are not thinking in terms of individuals alone. We ought to think in terms of a dialogue with the people who make history.
We do not have to have black leaders anymore. It told us because everyone in this room is empowered to be a black leader. Everyone in this room. These people that you're calling black leaders are not what they used to be with Marcus Garvey's day. They're not what they used to be back in the days of W.E.B. Du Bois or Martin Luther King. Those were the people that got us together and planted a strategy, and we're not looking for fame. But today's black leaders, I'm afraid, have become leading blacks. And don't ever confuse leading blacks with black leaders. Leaders are chosen by you. They're chosen by the people they're going to lead. They're chosen by us. But let me tell you about the leading blacks. The leading blacks are chosen by the media. Leading blacks are chosen by ABC, all broadcasting Caucasians.
Or let her go.
The leading blacks are also chosen by NBC. Nothing broadcasting but Caucasians. And the rest are chosen by CBS, the Caucasian broadcasting system.
That is a critical distinction. Black leaders versus leading blacks, which is a wonderful segue. I'm sorry, Wade, you're going to get this verse. It's a wonderful segue to a contemporary conversation about where we are right now. How we as black people 400 years navigate politically, culturally, socially, economically, having our own leaders that we choose versus others who are given to us. Let's wrestle for a moment, Wade. You're in Washington every day. You deal with these leaders every day. You advocate on our behalf every day. Let's wrestle with that notion of black leaders versus leading blacks.
We have a number of political transformations that have taken place in this country that have given many people the appearance that civil rights is no longer a present-day imperative. It's a thing of the past. Look, the reality is that we have an African American, a Latino, a woman, who are all running for president and are among the top candidates for their party's nomination. But the truth is, even if Barack Obama were elected president, if Hillary Clinton were elected president, that would not change the day-to-day reality of the brothers and sisters in Katrina-related New Orleans who are still living with the effects of a society that does not respect and protect their democratic interests. I heard what Sister Julia said, and I support and understand her criticism of those who would purport to be black leaders, but in fact are nothing more than leading blacks. But if that's in fact an indictment of a system that exists today, it is up to us to make that change. And it is up to the men and women who are here and who are listening to our voice to come up and say, look, we've had enough of that. We don't intend to be played, as you've suggested, and we intend to be a part of the democracy that takes this country into the 21st century where it belongs.
Look, Obama is a very decent, brilliant, charismatic brother. There's no doubt about that. The problem is that he's got folk who are talking to him who warrant our distrust. Precisely because we know that him going to Springfield the same day Brother Tavis has set this up for a whole year, we already know then that him coming out there is not fundamentally about us. It's about somebody else. He's got large numbers of white brothers and sisters who have fears and anxieties, and he's got to speak to them in such a way that he holds us at arm's length enough to say he loves us, but doesn't get too close to scare them out. So he's walking this tightrope. You see what I mean? So my attitude is this, because my criteria is the same. I don't care whether they're running for office or running down the street. It's true. My criteria is fundamental. I want to know, how deep is your love for the people? What kind of courage have you manifest in the stances that you have? And what are you willing to sacrifice for? That's the fundamental question. I don't care what color you are. You see, so you can't take black people for granted just because you're black. We want to know what your record is. Where's your courage? What are you willing to sacrifice? That's true for white candidates, brown, black, or whatever, across the board. But at the same time, we also have to be accountable to ourselves in recognizing that we got a whole lot of these candidates running, and they just almost characterized by unadulterated mediocrity. You know what I mean? You think of all the talent in America, we end up with these folks running for president? What is going on? Well, what's going on is that you need big, big money. So another question we've got to ask for Brother Barack is true for all the candidates. We want to know where your money's coming from. Is it big white money, black money, red money, Catholic money, Jewish money? Who's running your campaign at the financial level so that we can recognize that there's always strings attached to how far you can go given the money that's in your thing? Now, this is true for any candidate. I'm not saying Brother Barack. I'm not for or against him as a brother. If there's any white supremacist perception of Barack, I defend him. If there's any white supremacist abuse of Barack, I defend him. Why? Because I hate white supremacy.
Coming up next on the 8th Annual State of the Black Union.
There's a dog food company that sells 2 million cans of dog food every 2 weeks. They go double platinum. But it's dog food. You don't see the owner wearing diamond-encrusted dog food cans around their neck saying, yo, what's up?
What am I supposed to do about gas prices?
Ride a moped to work? Use my kid's skateboard for errands?
Makes me think twice about where I drive. But I don't think twice about where I shop.
I go to Walmart. They've got unbeatable prices on everything.
I need those savings. Now more than ever.
Look, gas prices are crazy. But paying more than I have to for everything else?
Well, that's really crazy.
I'm a lot of things, but not crazy.
She used to make lunch for us every day. And she put these little notes in the lunch bag. So when it was time to eat lunch, you take out your sandwich and it'd be this little piece of paper in there with it. With some little poem or saying, wishing to have a good day. I kept one.
When you've got someone looking out for you, you can breathe a little easier. Visit us online or call your local State Farm agent.
New Subway Scrabble, a 1 in 2 chance to win instantly. Play new Subway Scrabble to instantly win food, or collect letters and play online for a chance to win thousands of prizes, including 10 $100,000 jackpots. Play often, win often. Subway, eat fresh.
So you're probably feeling a lot of adrenaline right now. That's totally normal on your first solo. No way! We only lost 3 this week. It's a joke. Team 1, you're up.
This
Excuse me. How come you're not freaked out right now? This is nuts. Prepare to live, weekend. This is nothing.
Ready? 3, 2, 1, go. Team 2, you're up.
Doesn't take much to make me happy.
Nothing lets your love show like the many different and delicious ways you sweeten a glass of Kool-Aid.
Cedric the Entertainer presents on TV1's Back-to-Back Laugh Attack, weeknights.
A lot of focus placed over the last week or so about what it means to be an African American first. I come now to Mae Jemison. I wonder, Dr. Jemison, whether or not we make too much of these black first, or we're just about right in our celebration of these. And I ask that against the backdrop that on the one hand, it is a wonderful celebration. You see somebody black get a chance to do something, a chance. It's never about our qualities, but our qualifications, but we get a chance to do something, an opportunity to do it for the first time. That's a wonderful thing. At the same time, I'm always troubled by the fact that this is 2007. And there's still so many things that we are just now getting a chance to do for the first time. You are an African American first, the first sister in this space. Talk to me in your own words 400 years later about what it means to be an African American first these days.
When I was chosen for being an astronaut, I had no doubts that I had the qualifications, but I know women who had applied to the astronaut program before who also had the qualifications, who were African American women. So it came to a point in time where the nation became ready to make that choice and to give that chance. I was the first African American woman. Do you know the next African American woman to go into space was Stephanie Wilson, which was just in July of this year? And then in December...
How many years between? How long was that gap?
I went up in 92, in July of 64, 12 years.
So 92 to 2006.
14 years. Joan Higginbotham went up in December. But that's all well and good. I want to bring that out because we talk about things so much and we don't realize that there are lots of other people who are continuing on. But what I want to go to with this is the fact that we have an opportunity to imagine our own world. So many times we get caught up in being the first, right? I was the first black woman to do this. Well, what about if I was the first person? Let's imagine our own world. So often when I look at the book, and one of the things in the covenant was the digital divide. Why are we talking about the digital divide? Why don't we talk about being the ones who create the technology, which is what we have done in the past, but that's important, not just catching up. Deciding where the world goes, having that capability. We have to change our outlook. It's not about being the first, it's about creating the world, imagining the world that we want to have, and being willing to take the risk to move that forward.
Our technology and black folk, for all intents and purposes, still like strangers who have yet to meet. And at this 400th commemoration of our being here, one thing we're clear about, we can't navigate our way forward without having an understanding, an appreciation, and an embrace of technology.
When we started Black Planet, there's a children's book that I love that's based on a story that I'm sure everybody knows, the story of John Henry, right? And John Henry was a steel-driving man, and he competes against this new drill that's going to make a tunnel through the mountain, and he beats the machine, but he dies. Right? And to me, at some level, the narrative of the digital divide has been the narrative of John Henry, which is we can compete with technology maybe, but it's going to kill us in the end. And what I wanted to do with Black Planet, and I made everybody who joined that staff read this beautiful children's book, because we were going to, as much as I love that story, overturn that myth. Right? Technology is not something that is oppositional to black people. Technology is opportunity. And what really inspired me were folks like Spike Lee, Chuck D. I owe an incredible debt to you, Chuck, because I looked around and to me, the people who were really out there doing stuff were the people who were entrepreneurs, the people who were media makers. To your earlier point, there's a quote that you see sometimes on the internet, don't hate the media, become the media.
Chuck D, our artists, our musicians, have always been on the vanguard of saying those things, expressing those things that the rest of us wanted to say but couldn't say, wanted to share but could not get out. It raises, I think, a rather provocative question, at least, about where we are 400 years later with regard to the contributions of our artists.
There's so many people out there in the realm that get broadcasted that are smart that play dumb. When are we going to actually return the glory to the valedictorian? It's about our quality instead of our quantity. You know, there's a dog food company that sells 2 million cans of dog food every 2 weeks. They go double platinum. But it's dog food. You don't see the owner wearing diamond encrusted dog food cans around their neck saying, yo, what's up? You know, we need to understand that developing our business has to have a different tint on it. And black music has always been look out and love music. For the last 15 years, corporations have turned it around to being unloved music and hate music. It's always been look out and love music. From the beginnings of hip hop to soul, R&B, the blues, and on further back. It's the artist's responsibility, if we're in the stage and the lights, to understand being that fame is fake and it fades or whatever is never real, artists have to lock in to real people doing real things.
Several of you have used the word accountability in your responses today. That's a very important word to me. And I've got something in my lexicon that I refer to as the accountability ladder. Accountability ladder has 8 rungs. The lower 4 rungs are people who are unaccountable, and they're victims. And too much of what we do in our movement today is a function of acting and thinking like victims. Accountable people who are at the top 4 rungs of the ladder are powerful people. So when you're accountable, you're powerful. You've written a book on the covenant, which is the what. You've written the second book, which is the how. The real question is who or whom. And the answer is you. The answer is us. The answer is accountable people have to choose to be activists and get out and make something happen. So what is the new paradigm? The paradigm is civil rights is not a spectator sport. Civil rights is not something that you participate in by sitting in the stands and making judgments about what other folks aren't doing. That's not accountable.
Say it, Bruce.
Accountable is getting off your butt and getting involved in something and being accountable for finding solutions and making them happen. People say to me, Bruce, what is the NAACP doing? And you know what I say? Are you a member? And then I say, what are you doing? And the day that we decide that we will choose as individuals to be accountable and associate ourselves with organization, because power comes in numbers, power comes in structure, power comes in scale, not in just one. When we decide to do that, that's the model. The model is not waiting for the next great leader. There's not going to be a Dr. King. There's only one of them. There's not going to be another Malcolm. There's only one of them. And here's the final thing you got to understand about this. I get a little emotional about this, so pardon me. But here's the deal. I look at Dr. King. I look at Medgar Evers. I look at those who came before us, and I know something about them, because history has made it clear. These men and women were willing to die for the future, for their children. Are we willing to die for the future? Are we willing to die for our children?
Coming up next on the 8th Annual State of the Black Union.
We will stand for our community until the last breath is taken away from us, because it's our obligation as the educated elite to make.
And this is a ploy to sell books. It's about somebody making some money off some books. And that's what this is really all about. I'm sure somebody watching is saying that. These Negroes just trying to sell some books. Talk to me about these texts. Why we did this, why we have a companion text, what's the value of the written word in terms of getting a conversation going about the state of the Black Union 400 years later.
We needed to do this because while we've made a lot of progress and we can see accomplishments in all kinds of areas, the talent pool far outstrips the progress. It outstrips it in sports and entertainment and science and corporate leadership and political leadership. But the talent pool also outstrips the progress in home ownership. There are a lot more people prepared and ready and wanting to own homes than we see home ownership in our community. The talent pool far outstrips the progress in education, in higher education, in entrepreneurial endeavors. The talent pool far outstrips the progress that black people have made in this country, and therefore we needed to step back and say, what's the next generation of policy going to look like? What's the next generation of struggle going to look like to get where it is we need to go? And think about how things have changed over that time, and that's a lot of what's captured in that first text. But we needed a second text, a covenant in action, because the things I just talked about, being able to stay in the neighborhood where you've lived for a long time, to get to a job that you're qualified for, requires that you take some action. It's not going to be enough for some other organization to be able to be an effective advocate for you. This is your problem in your neighborhood, in your community. It's your school building. It's your transportation system. And so the covenant in action lays out strategies and tools that you can use to organize with your neighbors, your friends, your families, and become the advocates that we all have to be to achieve a society in which everybody can participate and everybody can prosper.
Charles Ogletree, professor at Harvard, it occurs to me that here we are on the occasion of the 400th commemoration of Jamestown, and we are still fighting fights that we ought not to even be engaged in. You are still fighting on behalf of black folk in their 90s now in Tulsa, Oklahoma, Black Wall Street, still fighting for respect, for justice, for those folk. Let's wrestle in that context. Let's wrestle with that Du Boisian question then of whether or not America would have been America without her Negro people.
I want to touch this ground because 400 years ago, our people started suffering. And we forget to say thank you. Thank you for bleeding. Thank you for suffering rape, abuse, degradation, and lifting it up. Thank you. And it doesn't stop at 1607. If you think about the history, in 1857, and we're hosting a conference at Harvard on the 150th anniversary of the Dred Scott decision. As many of you know, Dred Scott was born here in Virginia. The contradictions abound. He was born here in Virginia. Doug Wilder was born here in Virginia, became the first African-American governor in the history of this country, not until the 20th century. At the same time, here in Virginia, this legislature is talking about, in the matter of weeks, expanding the scope of its death penalty. And who do you think will be caught in that vice first? It's important because Tulsa is, in many sense, ground zero of our current suffering. I represented with my dear brother who's in heaven now, Johnny Cochran, who came when I asked Johnny to come to Tulsa. He said, send me, I'll go there. And one of the last things he did, we know about O.J. and Michael Jackson and all, but we don't know that Johnny always represented the least of these. And when I said come to Tulsa, Johnny didn't hesitate. And he's never hesitated. We went there, and our own history isn't known. Cornel West, born in Tulsa, Oklahoma. Dr. Julia Hare, born in Tulsa, Oklahoma. We know the successes, but we don't know that in 1921, a white mob destroyed the Black Wall Street of America. Destroyed it. Burnt homes, churches, businesses. We had hotels. And we went to court in 2003 on behalf of these survivors. When I filed the lawsuit in 2003, there were 150 African-American women and men who were alive in 1921 and signed this lawsuit. Today, I just talked to Eddie Faye Gates, our coordinator. Today, 2 more died this week. We're down to less than 90 people alive who were here in 1921. And they're trying to wait till we die off. The good news, Gay McDougall from the Global Rights President and I just got a letter last week from the Organization of American States. For the first time in the history of this country, the Tulsa Race Riots petition will be heard in Washington, D.C. before the Organization of American States. And we will be addressing this again at Harvard. We're going to re-examine the Dred Scott case. In that case, the Supreme Court, our highest court, said black people have no rights, which white people are bound to respect. That's what the court said. Well, we're going to show them, using the covenant, exactly what rights black people have that all people must respect. CharlesHamiltonHouston.org is the website. Sign up now. We want teachers in particular, but Tulsa is ground one. And thank you for mentioning our folks survived brutality, beating, and they are still standing. Oldest Clark is 103 years old, the oldest living survivor. He says, I'm not done yet. I'm not going to leave this earth until there's justice in Tulsa, in America, and in the world. Thank you.
Coming up next on the 8th Annual State of the Black Union.
We've got to bring peace back to our bodies, to our homes, to our schools, to our churches, to our synagogues, and to our mosques. That's important. Without it, you can have all the information you want in the world, and you'll never do anything with it.
Brought to you by Allstate. It's time to make your world a better place to drive. That's Allstate stand.
It's Friday night. Places to go, people to meet. But not like this. Most accidents happen on Fridays between 3 and 6 p.m. But with Allstate's new car replacement, if your new car is totaled within the first 3 model years, you can get a brand new car, not just a depreciated value. It's time to make your world a better place to drive. That's Allstate stand. Are you in good hands?
The survival of the greenbacks is a daily challenge.
This one was overspent. They're at risk of becoming extinct.
But you can help right now during Kia's Save the Greenback sales event.
You save a lot of greenbacks with Kia, like the fuel-efficient Sportage. With its impressive safety rating, you and your greenbacks are more protected than ever. Together, we can save the greenbacks.
Hurry and get 2.9% APR plus 1,000 bonus cash on the Sportage.
I spend a lot of time in the kitchen. My kids eat probably 5 to 6 times a day, so the dishwasher's my best friend. I used to use a gel, and when I would empty the dishwasher, there would be oatmeal still crusted on there. But with the Electrosol Powerball tabs, I'd never had that problem.
Electrosol Powerball tabs work differently. It's the only detergent that has 2 layers of cleaning power plus a jet-dry Powerball.
The Electrosol Powerball tabs work. I put it to the test.
Electrosol is #1 recommended by more leading dishwasher brands.
You guys hungry? I'll make Totino's pizza rolls. I love Totino! But we have to be quiet. I love Totino!
Word's out. Totino's Pizza Rolls. It's how kids help themselves.
Next Sunday,
I'm tired of smart people acting stupid.
are we keeping our eyes on the prize or selling out for success?
We went to jail so that our dollar was regarded like anybody else.
The leading blacks have gotten paid while we have gotten played.
Don't miss part 3 of the State of the Black Union next Sunday at 6 on TV1. Don't miss the drama with back-to-back episodes of All of Us next only on TV1.
I want to give everybody, out of love, a 1-minute final thought. From Policy Link, Angela Glover Blackwell.
Pick your issue. We put 10 of them, you could find 10 more. Pick your issue and organize in a disciplined way, in a determined way, and engage in conversation with the people who will listen to you and who you want to listen to. Because through that conversation, you're going to find the beginning of the coalition that Wade talked about. Build a coalition, organize, become the advocate, and be the change you want to see.
We have maybe not all the power we want, but we absolutely have all the power we need. All we got to decide to do is to use it.
We make a difference when we vote, and we have to make sure that we participate. In your cities and towns, elect the right people so when you speak truth to power, you're talking to somebody you want to talk to.
Voting is the language of democracy. And the bottom line is, if you don't vote, you don't count. And all of us who are part of this political system have to be willing to put our vote where it matters most to accomplish the change that we know is necessary to make this country the better place that it can be. And that requires us to be organized, and that requires us to commit ourselves today to accomplishing what we know is necessary to make the country better.
Black folks, get yourself a passport, cheaper than rims and anything else you like to buy.
Say it, Chuck.
Every black person is.
Say it, Chuck.
Not saying you got to get up and move out of Newport News. Just to have one with a global state of mind, because the rest of the world said the United States fell off. And y'all sitting up in it. Understand and think outside this 2,000 by 3,000 mile box of the lower 48 US of A.
I'd like to give you all an assignment, and that is for 1 week. I want you not to say anything evil or terrible or negative about each other or anybody. And because the reason why I want you to do that, because when we talk about change, we have to change our bodies also too. That change comes from us changing our minds. We've got to bring peace back to our bodies, to our homes, to our schools, to our churches, to our synagogues, and to our mosques. That's important. Without it, you can have all the information you want in the world, and you'll never do anything with it.
It's time for us to say, we will stand for our community until the last breath is taken away from us, because it's our obligation as the educated elite to make this nation what it should be. Jamestown is ground zero, but we hold the future for tomorrow. Fight for our people, fight for our rights, fight for justice as long as you live.
Always have a mission when you leave or wherever you're going. Know what you're going to do tonight, know what you're going to do the next day. And if you haven't found a mission yet, I want you to fake it till you make one. Always remember, we are all brothers and sisters in this room, no matter how we differ. So whether you're wearing dreadlocks, whether you're wearing fro, pink moisture lotion, whatever it is, we are all brothers and sisters. Whether you are alphas, whether you're kappas, whether you're deltas, omegas, and I'm going to leave one of them out, because if I do that, you all will be upset, because you're more serious about the Greeks than you are about Africa.
I beg you, please take the covenant with you from here, and don't expect to win by Monday after next. I'm 78 years old. I've been running for 50 years or more, and I'm still excited by the possibility of what might happen Monday morning. Our forefathers and foremothers in Virginia used to sing a song in slavery. They used to say everywhere, walk together, children. Walk together, children. Don't you get weary. There's going to be a great camp meeting on the other side.
I want you to give an appropriate ovation to this panel. Every one of them. Let's give them some love for their insight, for their inspiration, for their empowerment, their enlightenment, their encouragement. Show them some love, y'all. We thank you.